Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an episode of The Monster Closet. I'm your host, Adam. We're going to be looking at another couple of pickups and just general discussion around the movies that I've been having a look at this week. So, we're starting off with an absolute British classic, Ghostwatch. It's actually a double pack, so it's Ghostwatch and the Stone Tapes, but I'll talk about the Stone Tapes in just a moment. Ghostwatch, I imagine most people know this by now, but Ghostwatch, one of the most famous British found footage-y, essentially a fake news broadcast about a poltergeist, very similar to the Enfield haunting. Yeah, I'm really excited to watch this again. I haven't seen it for a long time, but it is the legendary stuff of childhood nightmares for young British people of a certain age. And then on top of that, we have the Stone Tapes, which now I love the Stone Tapes. The Stone Tapes is the story of sort of a bunch of technology people that have gone to a location to try and design the new big media format to record sound onto. But during it, there's sort of a ghost investigation that sort of spawns out of the actual story. It's very sort of, it's a BBC, sort of 70s BBC production. It's very similar to sort of your Doctor Who's. It's in that kind of era. I don't know how well this would translate outside of the UK unless you're used to sort of 70s BBC spook fest like Ghost Stories for Christmas and things like that. But the reason I wasn't too worried about that is because the wonderful 101 Films I spoke about last time have released a beautiful Blu-ray of it. Is this Blu-ray or 4K? I'm not sure. Let's have a look. It's just a Blu-ray of it, but it looks absolutely fantastic. There's a ton of extras in here. There's the entire script of the film in a booklet, some essays on it, some cards, and then the movie itself with a bunch of extra special features. But this looks fantastic. They were still filming on film back then, so upscaling it looks really good. Yeah, 101 Films are Stone Tapes. If you like old British BBC spook fests, definitely advise this one. Next up, we have Masters of Horror. I don't know how many people remember this one, but this was a 2-series set where some of the greatest horror directors of all time are given sort of about 45 minutes to an hour to make anything they wanted, really. This particular set I've had for a long time. I'm very glad to get it back. I used to watch this all the time when I was younger. So we've got John Carpenter's Cigarette Burns, which features Norman Reedus of The Walking Dead in a fairly early role, I think. But this is all about finding a lost movie about that's filmed of a fallen angel, and anyone who watches it dies when they watch it. Sort of like, I think Antebellum was recently one of the sort of, if you watch this movie you'll die kind of things, but it's very similar to that, but from the 90s, I think, sort of 90s, early 2000s. And Stuart Gordon's adaptation of Lovecraft's Dreams in the Witch House. Another really interesting one. I haven't watched this one for quite a while, so I can't fully remember all of it. But I know it's all about sort of geometry and putting certain geometric styles together to create a sort of portal to another world, which he does in this rented house. But yeah, I'm really glad to get these. Mainly because even on Amazon you can get the second season, but you just can't stream these anywhere. They're just nowhere to be found. And there's some really great ones, especially in Series 1. Incident on a Moonlit Road, I think, was another good one. I think that was the sort of premiere early episode. But yeah, we've got some John Carpenter, some Stuart Gordon. I think John Landis did one. Loads of things. So yeah, Masters of Horror, highly recommended. So this isn't an actual pickup. This is just one I wanted to show because I found it when I was going through some of my old films. So I used to get a magazine called Total DVD. And with that, they actually gave away a free DVD movie one year. And I've kept it ever since. I've never actually watched it. Called Popcorn. Says a Leatherface type murderer who wears other people's faces kills at an all-night horror-thon at an old theatre. Which sounds right up my street, to be honest. The stills on the back do not look like they're the best transfer. It looks very much like a VHS rip. But this was essentially completely free from magazine years ago. So I just wanted to show it because I thought it was a little bit of an oddity of when sort of you'd get DVDs on the front of a magazine, not just in the shops, which I thought was kind of different. Okay, and now... So I watched this with a friend 2 days ago. This is Equinox. Equinox is a movie... Well, this is actually 2 movies, and they're very, very different. So the movie itself basically focuses on people who are trying to find their archaeology professor, I believe, something like that. And then they stumble upon this book that that summons sort of demons and stuff, things like that. It's a very strange story, but it has absolutely fantastic stop motion creatures in it. To the point where even when there's human beings that they're grabbing, most films just have them as set plastic people, but they actually animate these. It very, very Ray Harryhausen. Ray Harryhausen is actually sort of on the back as someone who says, watch this movie, kind of thing, as well as George Lucas. But the weird thing was, we watched the 1970 theatrical release, and we kept noticing that one of the actresses always had a wig on 10 to 20% of the time, but not for the rest of it, which is very odd. But then also on here is the original 67 one, which is Equinox: A Journey into the Supernatural. And it turns out that they basically made this movie as Journey into the Supernatural, and then went back and refilmed it and added scenes in, added an entire new character called Mr. Amistopheles or something like that, which does not feature. And they completely changed the narrative. They swapped scenes around. But it's well worth a watch just for the stop motion creatures that I've hopefully showed up here or around here somewhere. But yeah, really worth a watch if you like your sort of old 60s, 70s stop motion, Sinbad and any of the Ray Harryhausen stuff. There's some really good stuff in here. Even if it is weirdly ADR'd and re-edited, I'd say watch both versions because I actually prefer the older version. But a lot of the transfer is clearly from like Super 8 or Super 16, and the resolution and the sort of cleanness of the picture changes wildly, so it's quite frustrating. So it depends on your tolerance for that sort of thing, but Equinox, I really enjoyed that. And I got Wilderness, sort of mid 2006-ish, I think this was. It's a British low budget horror. It is another horror movie in which Sean Pertwee gets disemboweled by dogs. So this one, Dog Soldiers, and I think there was a third one where this happens. For some reason, if you wanted someone disemboweled in a movie in this time period in the early 2000s, Sean Pertwee seemed to be on the case to get that done for you. It's got some problematic language in it these days. It's all set, basically, it's set in a young offender's prison. One of the lead antagonists of the boys bullies a kid to the point of him committing suicide. And as punishment, they're sent to this island to sort of do a rehabilitation course, and things just go on from there. So yeah, apart from that, it's not a great movie. I don't think it was. I don't know. It's a very low budget thing. I can't recommend this that much. Some of the special effects and the gore are really good, but other than that, I think this is an entirely forgettable horror movie from that time. And because of the sort of problematic language used, I don't think most people would want to watch this again today. So this one might go back out to the charity shops. I managed to find one of the all-time greats. So one of my favourite directors of all time, Lucio Fulci, and his version of The Beyond, or his movie, The Beyond. I absolutely love this movie, and I was really glad to get this. There's a lot of special features in here, a lot of commentaries, Easter eggs, interviews with the cast and crew. This is a wonderful movie, and I was so happy to get hold of a really nice. So this is the Arrow DVD. I don't think. I mean, they might have gone on to do a Blu-ray or 4K of this, but this DVD looks brilliant. I absolutely love the cover on this. I think it's fantastic. And yeah, anything Lucio Fulci, I'm going to pick up without any hesitation whatsoever. Then we have Never Sleep Again: The Elm Street Legacy. This is I think almost 5-hour documentary on the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Essentially, sort of 40 minutes on each one. Going through the cast and crew, loads of interviews, loads of behind the scenes, things like that. This is a fantastic documentary. This and Crystal Lake Memories, the Friday the 13th one, absolutely fantastic. I wish there was a Halloween one as well, because I'd love to complete the sort of trilogy for that. But if you like things like the In Search of Darkness documentary, things like that, this is really good. You can essentially just pick the movie you want to learn about, watch this, and it will give you more information you could ever possibly want about the Freddy Krueger films. Absolutely fantastic 2-disc set this. Highly recommended. I got this one off of eBay, actually. So I've been trying to get all of the Return of the Living Dead movies because I want to do a sort of long form video all about the series. So I need to pick this up. I picked this up. I also picked up 4. So this is number 5. 4, which is Necronis something. I can't remember the actual title. But this and the previous one, the fourth one, were released by Sci-Fi Channel, and they originally came as like I think it was a double feature when they were released on the Sci-Fi Channel, so they played them one after the other. It's not the best movie in the world, but I really, really enjoy the Return of the Living Dead films. So I wanted to pick this up, and obviously, as I said, I want to do a documentary on them as well. I also have the sixth one. Now, I saw this on Planet CHH and Tobato Vision's channels. They were talking about this. It's not really six. It's Bombshell Bloodbath, but it got renamed due to a legal loophole where the rights had lapsed at just the right time. But I'll talk all about that in the video I'm going to do on this. But yeah, Rave to the Grave. They basically plan a party on an island or somewhere remote. The zombies bust out and things go to hell. But yeah, interesting film. Carrying on the zombie kick, you got Shaun of the Dead. So I picked this up because I think it's the first ever Cuban zombie movie at the time it was released. Released by Canal Plus. Kind of follows a slacker sort of guy that just doesn't really do anything, just kind of coasting through life, and how he and a couple of his friends react to a zombie apocalypse in Cuba. Obviously, Cuba's an island. There's not really anywhere they can go. Quite a fun movie. Some good funny moments in it. Some good special effects. Good gore. I really enjoyed this, and I'll definitely be watching this one again. So yeah, highly recommended. Shaun of the Dead. On the opposite end of the spectrum, so we've got my beloved Tartan, but this is just Tartan DVD USA. Yet another label to look into. This is Monster Man. I watched this about a week ago, shortly after I made the last video. Yeah, this is not great. This movie basically starts as a early 2000s American Pie-esque gross out boner comedy. There's a lot of gross out humor in it that was really prevalent at that time, and it's aged like milk. It's really not funny. The problem is this movie is 70% comedy and 30% horror. It does kick into gear a bit more near the end, the last 20 minutes. The reason I'm frustrated with this is because the horror stuff, albeit low budget, was actually genuinely good. Like, I quite liked it. There's some really cool special effects near the end. There's a guy on a table that's kind of missing a whole section of him, but he's still talking to the guy and calling to his brother. The brother's mask looks quite good for a low budget movie. But unfortunately, there was just so much of the gross out comedy in the first 2/3 of the movie that was really off-putting, which is a shame. Because if they'd done it the other way and done like 30% comedy, 70% horror, I think this would be a lot more well-known. But yeah, it's also got a huge monster truck in it. The guy's driving a monster truck, and that sounds ridiculous, and it is ridiculous, but on screen it actually looks quite cool, because every time he hits the brakes, it kind of lunges forward. It looks like it's snapping at the car. They really put some work into that particular vehicle, so it's a real shame that it's just the way it is with the comedy. But yeah, if you like 2000s gross out comedy and horror, you'd probably really enjoy this. But unfortunately, the comedy really just ruined this for me. I'd say just watch the last 20 minutes if you ever get to see it. So this is one I got from Fright Fest. Actually, they had a big bin of DVDs after we left one of the movies once about 2 years ago. And this is He's Out There, starring Yvonne Stravinsky, who I believe is in the new James Wan Teacup TV series, I believe. This is a decent sort of cookie cutter slasher home invasion kind of movie. Family's moving, or at least having a holiday in a home they've bought deep in the woods. Husband's running late because he has to work, so the wife and the two kids go early. And then, yeah, they sort of get terrorized within the house. The husband does turn up sort of half hour in, half hour, 40 minutes. But yeah, it's a decent slasher. It's a bit by numbers, but I quite enjoyed it. It's shot quite well. Quite dark film, as in color-wise. It can be difficult to see things going on sometimes, but that might just be because it's on the DVD. But yeah, another one from 101 Films. So again, some of them I love, some of them I hate, but yeah, I'll always check out what 101 is doing, just to see maybe if it's one I love. So I got this one out of a charity shop. So this is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is the sort of 2001-ish, the reboot. The one where they have the camera shot where the woman shoots and then it goes through the hole in her head and comes out the back in the car, which I thought was an amazing shot. But yeah, so the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I really enjoy this. It also features heavily the guy from Full Metal Jacket. as the sort of psychopathic father figure in it. But I thought this was one of the good Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think they're either dreadful or they're brilliant. I don't think there's much in between in these. But this one I really, really enjoyed. And I was really glad to get a 2-disc set of this because there's a bunch of extra stuff on here, like deleted scenes, alternate openings. There's one called TCM Redux. I don't know if that's a recut of the film. It's a documentary, so that'd be quite good. And Ed Gein, The Ghoul of Plainfield, to sort of look at the inspiration, Ed Gein. Because he was the inspiration for this. He was also the inspiration for Psycho. And if you want to learn about him, I actually have a podcast called Killer Occult, and our next episode is going to be on Ed Gein. So yeah, if you check out Killer Occult on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get them, that should be coming in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, really, really good one, that. This is one I didn't show last week that I actually got at that place where I got all the Tartan Asia Extreme movies from. So this is Here Comes the Monsters from 1995. And now I love the original Monsters. I love the TV series. I love the Monsters Go Home movie, where he has the Dragula, famous for Rob Zombie's albums, and his movie actually. But we won't talk about that. I haven't watched this yet, but I flicked through it and I did some recordings just to get a bit of footage for it. This one looks okay because I know there's this one and there's another one. I think the other one's absolutely dreadful, but I think this one's more faithful to the actual monsters themselves. And obviously there was the terrible, terrible television show Mockingbird Lane, which is absolutely dreadful. But I think this is okay so far. From the very few clips I've seen, it's okay. It's nowhere near as good, and they don't have the dynamic as the original cast. But I quite enjoyed what I saw so far, so I'm interested to watch this one. And just see what they do with it with a brand new cast. Yeah, we'll see. We will see. Now, a few of you are going to remember this one. I got this one on eBay recently. 3 Collector's Edition, Erie, Indiana, the kids' TV show. I was obsessed with this as a child. I absolutely love this. I've recently just watched the first episode again from this, where because this is like X-Files Monster of the Week kind of thing, but for kids. And the first one, they're investigating. Essentially, it turns out that some families are keeping their kids young forever by using Tupperware, just like bed-sized Tupperware, and they're putting them in there. I couldn't actually get footage of this in the video because it kept getting flagged. So I mean, I hope that means they're still looking out for it so they can re-release it on a Blu-ray or something. But yeah, I've really enjoyed that first episode. I can't wait to watch more. There's 19 of them on here. And as a kid, I remember only seeing about 6 or 7, but I obsessed with it before I found the X-Files. So yeah, I am thrilled to see this. I'm probably going to do a video and recapping every episode of this because I think a lot of people out there like this, and it would be great to revisit that properly. So now we have this. I think I can comfortably say, without lying, this is the worst horror film or film, I think, in the world that has ever been released on DVD. This is Vampires vs. Zombies. And this was so bad I could barely get through it. It's absolutely horrendous. I mean, the acting is... Well, actually, let's have a little look at the acting and see what you think.
It is you.
Ah, our dear friend, the General.
Your daughter, Carmilla, poisoned my girl.
Carmilla?
Her. Nobody's seen my daughter since she left that devil with us in our home.
Yeah, it's not great, is it? It's not great. The effects are absolutely rubbish. There's a bit where someone gets hit by a car and it's clearly just a solid mannequin, full frame shot in focus. You can tell it's not. They've not even tried to hide it. And I think there's actually a second crash in which they clearly just drive into like trash bags full of garbage instead of a person. The story's nonsensical. They move location without reason. It's just it is the worst film I've ever seen, and I might do an entire video on this just so if I can stop one person watching this film and get their time back. Yeah, I think I will. I was trying to see if there's a runtime there to say how much time I could save you, but there's not, because why would there be? They've not even bothered with the thing. This scene obviously doesn't happen in the movie. This is just Photoshop job again. Yeah, absolutely dire. Do not go anywhere near this film. It's the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And to finish up, I did find one more of my beloved Tartan Asia Extreme. This is Into the Mirror. I believe this was remade with Keith Sutherland, possibly, as Mirrors. I think that one was just called. But this is a great 2-disc set. The bonus features have got behind the scenes documentaries, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, deleted scenes, a music video, a booklet with film notes. It's wonderful. This is sort of this movie deals with when you look in a mirror, the world through the mirror is its own world that's going on in tandem to ours. And you can kind of cross through in the right way, or maybe you can't, or maybe they can come through. There's a scene right near the very start where a woman's got a pizza cutter wheel that you use to cut pizzas, and the mirror version sort of cuts her throat, and it does nothing to her, but it cuts the throat of the woman in the real world, or our version of the world. It's really, really good, and I'm very excited to get back into this again. There's a little bit of spot gloss on the blood on here, which I thought was quite cool. But yeah, more Tartan Asia Extreme, which is what I was hoping for when I go out hunting for these things. So yeah, that's it for this week. Hopefully there was footage in this. Fingers crossed if I got it right. So getting a bit better each time. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe if you like this, so you can see more when they come out. And we've got these long form ones coming out about Tartan Asia Extreme, the Return of the Living Dead series, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series, things like that. So yeah, hopefully there's really good things coming. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.